right, looks like we are live. All right. Right. Get a good people a minute to come on in. When you come in, say what's up to me, speak to me. Be courteous when you come into my house. Come on in. Let's see. Diamond Queen, what up, sis? How you doing? Yarly, what's good, bruh? Peace to the family. How y'all doing this evening? Diamond Queen says, no, they are just emotionally intelligent. All right, all right. This should be a good conversation this evening, I think. Let's see what we can do. Let me see if Facebook will allow me to do a watch party. They always in my way. My lovely wife, how you doing, beloved? Let's get into it. There we go. Watch party. Yes. All right. Let's see if we can start one there and here. Cool, cool. All right, all right. All right. Give the people a couple minutes to come on in, see how many people we can get to join the conversation. I like these types of conversations. I think they're pretty good. So pretty important too. Do me a favor as you come into the space. First of all, send me a greeting. You come into my house, say hello. What up, Alma? I see you. Do me a favor, do a watch party, share the video, click that like button for me. You know, let people know what we're talking about. I think this is a very necessary conversation. And I don't know. I don't think we talk about it enough, to be honest with you. So let's see what we can do. Maybe we can make sense of a few things. Let me see. Share a little bit more, and then we're going to jump right on into it. Let's see. Let's see. Oh boy, let's go, Diamond Queen. All right, I got you. I hear you. I hear you. Let's see. A few more spaces, and then we're going to jump right on in. Vice brothers. See how many are off work and willing to show up. Let's see. Power. Send it to my power group. There we go. All right. Okay. Let's get it. Hotep, sis. Hotep. So y'all saw the thumbnail. Let me see if I can. I'm getting better at this modern technology stuff. Hasn't been the easiest for you, boy, you know. Let me see if I can bring this up. The thumbnail. Y'all saw the thumbnail, right? With the man crying. Let's see, can I bring it up? This thing be whooping me, man. Today. Let's see if that's it. I like this picture, man. This is probably my one of my favorite pictures of the brother Denzel Washington. Let me see if I can share this. Share the screen. Share the screen. Let me see. Can y'all see that? Let me see if that shows up. Him and Predator, brother Wayne Ashford. What's good, Wayne? How you doing, brother? Y'all do me a favor as y'all come into the space. You know how you do when you come into somebody's home. Say what's up to me. Speak to your man. All right, did that share? I don't know if that shared or not. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. I'm not gonna push it. I'm not that good with this thing yet, this old modern technology thing. But what I am good at is talking about this particular topic. Like I said, I think it's a very necessary topic, and long overdue. Y'all know y'all know who I am. I'm Vaughn. I'm the Love Alchemist, known as the Love Alchemist. Been married for about 30 years. Have a son of my own. I have 3 grandsons. My brother and I are very close. We talk all the time, and And through the years, I've spent a good bit of time helping brothers out, just dealing with different challenges. And so I had a recent conversation with one of my friends that called, and he was going through some things, and that conversation prompted this topic. Are alpha males sensitive? And I see the brother Aaron Miller says yes. Diamond Queen says yes. I saw an interesting comment on my page. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Amorous made a comment, excuse me. And I want to read this comment real quick because I thought this was very interesting. And she said, imagine the ego as a balloon. The bigger, more inflated the balloon is, the more sensitive it is to opposition. I thought that comment was very, very heavy. And so it plays right into what we're talking about with alpha males being sensitive. Well, first of all, let's define what is an alpha male, because I think there's a lot of different ideas about what an alpha male is. First and foremost, the word alpha means first, right? And male, of course, we know what male is, the opposite of female, or not the opposite necessarily, but the complement to female. So what is an alpha male? In the animal kingdom, it's, in short, it's the most dominant male. Now, in humans, it's thought of to be the most dominant or powerful or most assertive man in a particular group. And I can rock with that, right? Men, we tend to branch out in different things, whatever the endeavor is, whatever the avenue or group is. And so that kind of tends to sort itself out, some level or some sort of hierarchy. Some guys think it's based on how many women we can get. Some guys think that being an alpha male is synonymous with behaving kind of like what a lot of people will refer to as a jerk. I personally think that the term is overused, and I don't know, to be completely honest with you, I'm not even convinced that the term even makes sense as it applies to human males, primarily because of the nature of our relating. And by that, I mean this. Typically, when we think of alpha males, the most common association is with animals. And the alpha male in the animal kingdom, you pick any animal kingdom, whether it's lions, tigers, bears, whatever. Typically, the alpha male is the only one to get the female, and all of the other males, I think they just kind of fall back as the alpha male has access to all of the females. That's not quite how humans get down. So in this context, I think when I think of an alpha male, if I want to apply that logic, I kind of think more in terms of a man that's handling his business, right? A man that's handling his business, doing what he's supposed to do, being where he's supposed to be, and making sure that his family has what they're supposed to have. Logic. Before I go further, let me just jump in here real quick. Check out some of these comments. Yardley says, it is quite fitting that Denzel, showed his power and resiliency that you won't break me despite despite when I lost my place, despite whatever you do to me. Alpha males are sensitive, but he displays his resiliency above and beyond the beta males of the general population. So here's another idea about that. I agree with that. First of all, let me say that, because he does stand strong, and he's showing that as he goes through the adversity, right? Manhood and being a dominant or assertive male isn't about not going through the adversity, but it is much more about how we deal with the adversity and whether or not we can overcome the adversity. Amma says, yes, the term applied to humans isn't logical at all. Yeah, I kind of roll with that one. I don't think it's really necessary as it applies to humans. And I think with it being so the way we define it is so loose, and we have so many people out here, so many men out here that have some very strange ideas about what it means to be an alpha male. So let me just go to what I think manhood is, because I don't think that, let me say it this way. I think that the idea of manhood is inextricably tied to the idea of womanhood, right? So in other words, there is no such thing as manhood without the institution or the idea of womanhood, right? So the better you are at manhood, the more harmoniously you relate to the idea of womanhood. Or the better you are at manning, being a man, becoming a man, the better you are able to harmoniously relate to what it means to be a woman. And so when you have guys out who mislabel themselves, what I call it, mislabel themselves as being an alpha male, but they're mistreating women, or not even just mistreating women, but unable to relate harmoniously with a woman. How do you then qualify for what we consider the apex of whatever manhood is, when your counterpart, not your counterpart, but your complement, you're not even able to relate harmoniously to what the universe set in your path as a complementary pair? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Holler at me if you hear me, if that makes sense at all. Let me know what you think about that. Diamond Queen says, when a man is so headstrong that he doesn't listen, so alpha in that manner, that is stupidity when he doesn't care, and it's no way, or it's his way or no way. I'm having trouble reading. Yep, strange ideas. All right. Let me see. I got this other page over here. Let me check these comments real quick before I go on. I just kind of want to make sure that I don't leave nothing behind. Betty Speaks. What up, stranger? How you doing, sis? Good to see you. So let me see. I see my brother Oak, Classy Cheney, Kimberly Snidey. What's good, family? Good to see y'all. Chime in. Let me know what you think. I'm open to the pot. Look, every time I make a statement, anytime I speak, I'm open to the possibility that I'm on the wrong side of whatever argument that I'm making. So look, I don't know everything. I don't. So offer me some criticism, man. Offer me some pushback if you think my ideas are not the most constructive. But one thing that I like to do is try to operate in the space of what I think is healthy, healthy relating. And I don't think that you can, as a man, your primary responsibility being to, or one of your primary responsibilities being to protect, provide. And part of that protecting and providing is also providing safety and comfort. And so I don't think that it's logical to mistreat those that you're charged with protecting and providing for, and still qualify as the apex, or or the top of the food chain, if you will, as an alpha male, if you want to call it that. Here's some ideas. Let me see. Aaron Miller says, not an argument, just getting to answering the question put forth. So here are alpha male sensitive. Sensitive. That's an interesting word. I think that a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that sensitive means weak. Right? I know some sensitive brothers. that outdo any other brother that will outdo most brothers that I know in the gym. I know some sensitive brothers. Look, here's another one. A lot of people think that sensitive means soft. I know some sensitive brothers that'll slap the taste out your mouth, will defend his woman and his children to the death. So I think that's an erroneous equation. A lot of people think that sensitive means weak, sensitive means soft, and I don't think that it means any of those things necessarily. There is a such thing as being overly sensitive, though, and emotionally fragile. So a distinction has to be made, right? There is a such thing as being soft and weak. That's not the same as being sensitive. So to me, sensitive is more along the lines of having a sharp mental or emotional sensibility and awareness of the responsive and a response to the feelings of those that you're charged with caring for, or even just to the feelings of other people. Sensitive just really means nothing more or really nothing less than being in tune to what's going on around you and to what's needed of those around you. Do I care about how you feel, what you're experiencing, what you're going through, how I might even impact your life? To me, that's really all that sensitive is. So in my mind, alpha males, I'm using that term because it's so popular, or whatever, even though I don't necessarily think it applies to humans, but I say alpha males or apex males are indeed sensitive, because I don't think you can be at the top of what we call manhood. I don't think you can be an alpha male if you're insensitive to the needs of those who you're supposed to care about. What say you? Let me know what you think. Let's see. Aaron Miller says, agreed. All right. Yardley says, the gynocentric, is that gynocentric or gyno? Yeah, it's got to be gyno. The gynocentric societal attacks on masculinity is the reason that we as men do not have a true example of manhood. The images of manhood are seen through the female idea of what a man is. Right. Their idea of manhood is an over idealized, mostly delusional projection of the idealized man they imagined, wished, or wanted a man to be for them. That's a great point. What to that point, I find that there are a lot of women, lovely sisters out here, who will remain forever single because they're more committed to their idea of what a man should be. This list, women have lists. He's got to be 6'2". He's got to have abs. He's got to make six figures. Whatever their list is, right? There are women who will forever remain single because that list seems to take a more front and center presence in their mind than what an actual man is. Does that make sense? Am I making sense of what I'm saying? So to your point, Yarley, these ideas, these delusional projections, you are absolutely right. Watch this. There are a lot of brothers, a lot of men who do something very similar in the opposite direction. There are brothers who will pass up a good woman in favor of a fine woman. In other words, if she can be a really good woman, I'm talking about wife material, got your back, therefore you do anything for you, right? But maybe she's only average looking. Maybe she's a 6 on the scale of 1 to 10, right? Maybe she's only a 6, 6.5, but she's got your back like no other woman, will do anything for you, wants to serve you, wants to please you, wants to help you take your life to the next level. But along comes this other young lady, and maybe she's a lot prettier. Let's call her a 10 on the look scale, on the pretty scale. But, they talk about that 80-20 rule, right? And so she doesn't bring all of these other intangibles to the table. Maybe she makes a lot of money and she gets her hair and her nails done and her toes done every week. Fly as can be. Maybe that's her. But if you need her for something, maybe you need your back rubbed, or maybe you need a little bit of inspiration because your day was hard and she can't really quite show up in your life that way. And I'm saying that in the same way that women can be delusional, often are delusional in what they think a man should be bringing to their table, men are also often delusional and will pass up many good women in favor of fine women, pretty women. Am I making sense? Yardley says, absolutely. Aaron says, depends on the person's definition of a good woman. That's absolutely, that's going to be relative, right? A good woman to me isn't necessarily the same as a good woman to you or to the next man. So that's definitely on point. Let me check, see what we got. Any more comments on this other page? Yeah, okay, we started over there. So let me this idea of men crying, what y'all think about that? Do strong men cry? Crystal Carter says sensitive means you have a heart. I could smoke a bag of that if I smoke. Do real men cry? Do strong men cry? That's the question. Aaron says, not saying their definition is wise either. Yardley says, boo. What does that mean? Are you saying no, strong men don't cry? What do you think? I haven't cried since my grandmother's funeral, and that was in 2006. My grandmother died in 2006. That was the last time I cried. Oak, my man Oak says, alpha means leader. Every mammal, crew, team, clan, frat, lodge, etc. has a natural leader. Plus, that's in comparison to other men. Being alpha has nothing to do with women. But I know your audience, so be great. You think I'm pandering? I don't feel the need to pander, man. I don't really gain anything by that, but I feel you. And I do understand it from that perspective in relation to other men. But again, I have to bounce that off of the, in my mind, the idea of manhood and the idea of womanhood are inextricably tied, meaning inseparable. You can't separate manhood from womanhood because otherwise we would all just be people and then it would just be personhood, right? So I hear what you're saying in relation to other men. I can understand that. But again, like I said, I find it difficult to separate manhood from womanhood. Yardley says, men can cry, but only alone. Never let them see you cry. Never let your woman see you cry. Ladies, there's a few ladies in the comment section. What do you think about men, your man crying? Does that make him less of a man if he cries in your eyes? Amma says, crying is a release of emotions available to both genders. Crying is a release of emotions available to both genders. I can dig it. I can dig it. Yardley says, females want to see a man cry until they don't. When my grandfather died, my grandmother and my grandfather died about 2 years apart. 2004, he died. 2006, she died, I believe. And when my grandfather died, that was the first time, let's see, 2004, we had been married since 1990. So 14 years. And that was the first time that my wife saw me cry. And then again in 2006, when my grandmother died, she saw me cry. And I think that, I don't know, I got the sense from her that it drew her closer to me. Like she wanted to know if there was anything she could do to help. So I didn't get the impression from her, and maybe because it was a funeral, death, whatever, maybe that's different. And so maybe if I was crying about the phone bill not being able to be paid, maybe she might put a finger in my forehead and, you know, push me like I'm a big old punk or something. I don't know. But In those two instances, when I cried, she wanted to comfort me, and I don't think she quite knew how, because it was so strange to see me cry. Because I just, there's not a lot in my life that I have to cry about. I haven't gone through a whole lot that would push me to cry. Frustrated, yeah. Mad, yeah. But not a whole lot of things that, I don't know, that I've gone through that have made me cry. Let me see. My wife says absolutely not. I have no problem with it. I can dig it. Let me see. Datra, is that Datra? She says crying is healthy. Yardley says crying must be a release. So is going to the range and firing off 500 rounds of whatever. Crystal says, when I see a man cry, it touches my heart because you don't normally see that emotion. Dante says, peace to the grandma and grandpappy, man, some of the greatest people I know. Yeah, man, it would be hard not to cry if you knew them and experiencing that transition, for sure. My wife laughing at me says, no, not the phone bill. I guess I wouldn't get a pass for that one. Let me see. Aaron says, certain situations, if you go hard in front of your woman, she's going to think something is wrong with you. So again, I think there's a difference between being emotionally fragile and then also, as Amma said, the release of emotions available to both genders. Let me read something for you about crying. It says crying for long periods of time releases oxytocin and what's that word? Endogenous opioids, otherwise known as endorphins. These feel-good chemicals can help ease the pain. Can help ease both physical and emotional pain. Once the endorphins are released, your body may go into somewhat of a numb stage. Oxytocin can give you a sense of calm or well-being. Now, let me share something with y'all. Hold on, let me get a sip. Wet my whistle. Boy, I can always count on Kevin to show up with his jokes. You're a funny dude, man. Aaron says, yeah, but if you're crying at the range, you ain't gonna hit nothing. Yeah. I gotta leave you alone, Kevin. You're a nut. Check this out, though. Y'all know I work with couples. But one of my passions, one of the things I'm most passionate about is working with brothers, working with men, because what I find is that we don't often have that safe space where we can talk about real things and try to find some resolve to some of the real challenges that we're experiencing. And I got to tell you, man, one of the most soul stirring things that I've ever experienced is when a grown man cries. Like that moves me. Like, you know, I had a brother call me. He was going through a divorce and he was very upset, very emotional about failing at his marriage. And his brother's a big guy, right? About 6'3", about 320 pounds. And he called me and he was sobbing in the phone about all that he was experiencing as a result of this marriage failing and this being his second marriage. And, you know, he's concerned about all of that. And long story short, he just released. That's one incident. I had another brother. This was a couple years ago. Back-to-back incidences. Two brothers at different times. One of them came up to me. I don't want to say where because that might give it away. But anyway, one brother came up to me and he was just so overwhelmed with what he was experiencing. And he needed me to say something to him to bring some calm to his mind. And it caught me so off guard because, you know, you're not used to men just coming up to you like that. Even in the space that I'm in and in the way that I'm in this space that I'm dealing with brothers and helping people. And the brother caught me off guard. He came up to me like, man, you got to say something to help me or whatever. And I'm just like, I was froze. You know, it just caught me so off guard. And then the other time was on the phone, another phone call, very similar scenario. Here's where I'm going with that in relation to what I just read to y'all. After these brothers cried, and before we even got a chance to really get into the dialogue of where we were going and how we could help kind of bring some resolution to what they were experiencing, that release that they experience, and these are manly men too. These ain't no soft, weak brothers that I'm talking about. These are manly men, what you might even call alpha men. And but they were experiencing a great deal of overwhelm. They were just overcome with the emotion, and I just so happened to be the release valve for that. And after they released, though, it was just like a calm came over the situation. But the thing about brothers, particularly brothers, I don't know about, white guys as much. I don't think their dynamic is quite the same. I know that there's a stigma about them crying too, but there's something extra when it comes to black men. And we fight, I think, just a little bit harder to not cry. And I think the frustration from keeping the lid on what would otherwise be a release, right, for those feel good hormones, for us to actually deal with whatever it is that's overwhelming us. When we suppress that, it builds up even more frustration than even the scenario that produced the feelings that made us want to need that release anyway. And what I'm saying is, once these brothers released, there was such a calm that came over us or over them, so to the point where we were actually able to have a very healthy conversation and bring some resolve to what they were going through. Let me jump into a couple of these comments. Aaron says, I'm just saying, bro, when your mom passed, if you didn't cry, your wife wouldn't have looked at you sideways and recommended counseling. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that was my grandmother, not my mother, but yeah, I feel you on that. Yardley says, because you know that something is seriously wrong. You know a man needs help and is nearly at the end of their rope. They trusted you. Men will cry in front of other men only if they trust them. Yeah. And, and I'm gonna tell you, man, I like being that guy, man, because I think I'm fortunate in that regard that I'm able to relate in a way that, I don't know, man. I mean, it ain't for me, so I appreciate even being the vessel, being able to be used so that that I can help brothers through that type of thing. So I appreciate you saying that. Aaron says, because it's more intimate and a deeper level of trust if a man that doesn't normally cries in front of you. Yeah, real rap, man, real rap. You might be surprised how many brothers are experiencing some very deep levels of frustration and pain and overwhelm, and they don't have a healthy space to go to where they can find some resolve for what it is that they're experiencing and what it is that they're feeling. So, and this is why I present myself for that. I'm always here for that, man. If y'all know anybody, hell, even if any of y'all, man, you can always call me. This is what I do. There's a proverb that says, being a male is a matter of birth. Being a man is a matter of choice. I like that. Being a male is a matter of birth. Being a man is a matter of choice. And I think that speaks to the fact that, or emphasizes the fact that we really don't have a rites of passage in our community. And that's so sorely needed, man. And we just arrive at age 18 or 21 or 25, whatever the age is, and it's determined that we're old enough to be a man, and we get sent off into this journey called manhood without any real tools, or I should say lacking many of the tools that are necessary for us to do manhood effectively. Um, there's another quote that I read. A brother said, manhood is the defeat of childish or childhood narcissism. Manhood is the defeat of childhood narcissism. That's powerful. Because you know, when you're a child, you're not really concerned about anything else. It's me, me, me. And sorry if I hurt your feelings, but my feelings matter more. Like, that's the epitome of what a narcissist is. Like, people, they throw that word around. A lot of people throw that word around, calling everybody a narcissist. We want to label people a narcissist. But one key factor in being a narcissist is not just about being self-absorbed, but it's also about lacking empathy for others, being unconcerned with how other people feel or how you made them feel. That's the epitome of what a narcissist is. And so that quote, manhood is the defeat of childhood narcissism, is powerful. And that really speaks to what it means to arrive at or to be on the pathway to becoming a man. It means to concern yourself with the welfare of others. Let me see. Here's another one. I'm gonna read this one, and then I'm gonna see if there's any more comments or questions, and then I'm gonna close out because I don't want to stay on here too long. Here's one. A real man loves his woman and places his family as the most important thing in life. Nothing has brought me more peace and content. I guess it meant contentment. More peace and contentment in life than simply being a good husband and being a good father. I'll read that again. A real man loves his woman and places his family as the most important thing in life. Nothing has brought me more peace and contentment in life than simply being a good husband and being a good father. Now, I know that there's all this talk about being a man of purpose, and I'm with that. A man needs to have purpose in his life. But there is something special to be said about a man who loves his woman and takes care of his family. I don't know that it gets really any better than that, or more alpha as far as manhood is concerned than that. Amaris says, or Amma says, there are so many vent avenues available to women. We are perceived as the weaker gender, so us being sad is okay by society. But our men need to feel comfortable too. They need to feel comfortable expressing the entire spectrum of their feelings. If we want fewer narcissistic men, we need to stop telling boys that their hurt feelings and crying is not manly. That's a fact. That's a fact. Yarley says 100. And when my mother passed, I didn't cry for a long time. I had to take care of her final affairs, and there was no time. I could feel everyone else's emotions and had to apologize later. Wow. Crystal says, we appreciate a good man like that. No doubt. You know, my father was murdered when I was 11. And last year, this goes to that suppression that I was talking about. Yardley says, I cried alone in the dark. I apologize for my emotional lockout and not being there emotionally for them. Yeah, it's really something, man, because we really do suppress that very natural response and that very natural release for our stress. And look, I'm not encouraging brothers to go out here and just start crying every damn way. That's not the point, right? I'm saying that that crying is a very natural release for that sense of overwhelm. Now, it's not every day that we are overwhelmed. The average man, right? He said, I use my Aquarian superpower. You're an Aquarius, bro? That's a very natural release for overwhelm or an extreme sense of frustration. And again, it does not mean that a man is weak. But I was driving, and my father was pick up where I left off. My father was murdered when I was 11 years old, right before my 12th birthday. So it's been a while, and you know, I was a boy, so I cried pretty good then. And my brother was 3 years younger than me, is 3 years younger than me, almost 4. So he was only 8 at the time, 8 and a half, 9, whatever. Yeah, 8. And so about a year ago, I'm driving home from work, and me and my brother just kind of reminiscing and talking about Pop, you know. And man, I guess the nature of the conversation, or the direction that the conversation went, the things that we were touching on, some of the details that we were discussing, it brought it all back. And I didn't cry, but man, I mean, I was probably as close as I could have got. You know, my eyes were watery, and I had to change the subject. I had to change the subject. I wanted to change the subject because I didn't feel like crying. I didn't want to cry. But what that showed me though was that there's still maybe some unresolved pain that I'm feeling, or maybe it's just that they never fully leave you. Maybe if you tap into something that you lost, or something that hurt you bad enough, if you discuss it deeply enough, it's always there, that can maybe reignite some of that old emotion, some of those thoughts and feelings that you thought were gone, that you really just suppressed, as opposed to them fading and dissipating or whatever. But so, just to be completely correct and transparent, about a year ago, if I wouldn't have changed the subject with my brother, as we were talking about my father, that would have been a good little tearjerker for me, because it definitely stirred up some old feelings. Yardley says it's the why. Crystal Carter says, I am not a crier, but when I saw my dad, who is my superhero, cry, it touched my heart. I have only seen him cry a few times in my life. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, you know, men in general, but particularly black men, brothers, you know, if you see a black man cry, especially if he's one that's thought of as strong or alpha, if you want to call him that. When you see that brother cry, you know that he's been through something strong. Let's see. Aaron says, yes, we do. I'm from the A real man never cries generation. Okay. Yes, we do. I'm from the a real man never cries generation. As an army combat vet, it helps in the moment to be emotionless, but creates a lot of angst and psychologically, and creates a lot of angst psychologically later. Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's see. My lovely wife says, that's very true. When a loved one passes, it can draw tears decades later. Oak says, I'm amazed at how many men judge his manhood by women. It's like they never got to make a name for themselves before they try to change women's last name. Women aren't there when you shoot at the gym. They just show up for the games, which means your journey to manhood is coached by other men and practiced daily by yourself and your own integrity. Y'all need tolerology classes. I think I don't think that a man's manhood is solely judged by women, but I think it does. But I don't think you can divorce the idea of manhood from how you are able to relate to women. I hope that makes sense. I think that there is something to be said. I mean, what are we here for? If you think about it, what are we here for? What is the primary reason that a man is here? Certainly not to go play ball at the gym, or just to do things among men. That's part of it for sure. There is a camaraderie, there is a brotherhood that helps define and shape manhood, right? That's how we do rank ourselves amongst other men. There's no question about that. But a large part of what it means to be a man also um, comes down to how well we relate to women. I don't see how I don't see how it can be completely separated. I don't know. Somebody let me know. Yarly, let me know what you think about that. So I guess all of us alphas agree we don't cry and can be sensitive. uh, Aaron says certain aspects of manhood have to be defined by womanhood. That's what I'm saying. I think, again, I don't know how to separate the two. I don't know that the two are even supposed to be separated. But I do think that in many regards, particularly since our community has been so culturally defanged. Is that a word? I just made that up. I do think that since our cultural fabric has been so broken down, so worn down, and so decimated, we still have a culture, but we have some very unhealthy ideas that permeate our culture. And many of us are trying to kind of figure this thing out. We're figuring out where women rank as it pertains to what manhood is, and women are doing the same thing in reverse. We're all trying to figure this thing out because our cultural mores and folkways have been destroyed, and so we're left to try to pick up the pieces and figure this thing out. But when it's, I don't know, y'all know where I go to get my relationship advice. You know, I go to Animal Planet. And whenever I go to Animal Planet and I see the males of whatever species doing their thing at the height of what it means to be male in whatever species that you observe, there's always something to do with their feminine complement. I don't think that the two can be separated. Kevon Pierre says, I have seen a brother cry when I found out his girl of 10 years was pregnant by another man. I have seen another man cry when he came home and met his girl of 5 years moving out to go live with another man. Men cry. It just depends on how deep they hurt. That's a fact. That's a fact. Man, yeah, whew, that's a rough one there. That's a rough one. Look, and I think a large part of why a lot of men tend to make the effort to distance manhood from womanhood is because of, look, nothing can hurt a man more than a woman that he truly cares about. Nothing can hurt a man more or more deeply than a woman that he truly cares about, a woman that he has invested in, a woman that he has poured into, and he feels that she is there for him and has his back. And the disappointment of learning that she is, like my man just said, pregnant by another man or moving out unexpectedly, that type of hurt is so jarring and soul stirring that as a defense mechanism, as a coping mechanism, I think men have made the effort to separate themselves in a sense that says, I can be the best man ever without having anything to do with women. And I think that's a mistake. What say you? Aaron says, facts. I see my son in the spot. What up, son? How you doing, man? So, man, I've gone on a little bit longer than I had anticipated. So if there are no questions or comments, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Let me see. No comments. So no questions there. Yeah, man. So look, I just started a YouTube page. I'm trying to get that rolling under the name The Love Alchemist. You see the banner right there. Go to my YouTube page, The Love Alchemist. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If Facebook start acting funny on us, I still want to be able to connect with the brothers, with everybody, couples, couples too. But I really enjoy my connection with the brothers because we got a lot of work to do, man. And we do a lot of we do a lot of complaining about women, about how our women behave, and how they relate to us or are unable to relate to us. But I think that as we begin to redefine ourselves and sharpen our sword, right? Become better versions of ourselves than what this society has planned for us to be. Because in many ways, we know that this society has not planned a favorable outcome for us. We know that's not debatable. But I think that we have to begin coming together and begin having discussions like these. And to me, this one just kind of scratches the surface a little bit. But I think that we need to start having some more healthy discussions. Iron sharpens iron. And really, what I want to do is start having some discussions where the women are not invited, because I think that's a safer space. We really can't talk the way we like to talk in front of women. And so I'm going to be doing something like that here very soon, where we can start chopping it up, man, and just kind of, having man talk uninterrupted, without the opinions or influence of, what we think women who are watching might think or feel or say. Yardley says, truth to live by about manhood: disregard females, acquire currency, dominate life, defeat your enemies, drive them before you, enjoy the spoils of war. I don't think that you can disregard females. I don't think you should chase females. I agree with that. Chasing females is I don't there's very look, you will lose a whole lot of yourself chasing females. You'll lose a whole lot. I heard a man say you'll lose a whole, how did it go? You'll lose a whole lot of money chasing women, but you'll never lose women chasing money. Something to that effect. I think that in the effort to become the best version of ourselves as men, we will draw the women that we will draw the woman that we want to us. And I think there's so much value in deciding on a woman rather than spreading ourselves among many women. I think there's more value in deciding on a woman to be that, to be that complement, to be that complementary pair for us. I think there's so much more value in that. And I don't think that we can be the best version of ourselves without that. I think we can be good men. I think we can be very strong and very productive men. But there is something to be said about the balancing effect of adding a complementary woman to our lives that allows us to reach a level that we just otherwise could not reach without that complementary woman in our life. That's what I say. I see my brother Derek. He says you can lose a woman by chasing money because she'll need that attention in some instances. Yeah, you can. You can. It's a balancing act. There has to be some balance. There has to be, for me, my woman offers a very stabilizing effect in my life. She has a very stabilizing impact. I know that without the woman that I have in my life, I'm older now, so I would probably be a lot slower at this point. But I was, I had a lot of wildness in me, and I needed that. My son Vaughn, he says you'll lose a woman, but not women. Yeah, you can always look, man. It's not hard to get women, right? I mean, you can get women. The question is quality, and I think just when I was growing up, we always heard things like "there's plenty of fish in the sea." There's plenty of fish in the sea. Don't settle on one woman. There's plenty of fish in the sea. What they didn't tell us is that most of them were catfish. Most of them are catfish, man, and most of them, in my experience, in my observation, there are so many. You may come across a whole lot of women on your path, but you will find that the overwhelming majority of them are not suitable for the journey that you're on. So I say, even to young men, even if you're 18, Yarley said guppies. Even if you're 18 years old, if you find the type of woman who, I always talk about my wife, right? My wife loves to serve me. My wife loves contributing to my happiness. Whatever it is that she thinks will help me become better, do more of what it is that I want to do, whatever she thinks that she can do to make life better for me, she wants to do that. Could I have gone out there and kept looking for someone who I thought might have been prettier or someone who I thought might have been shaped better? You can keep looking. But what I'm saying is, when you come across that type of woman, even women as men, when you find men that are willing to be there for you in the capacity where they want to pour into your life and make life better for you, you know how naive you got to be to think that there are plenty of those opportunities out there. They're not a dime a dozen. They are not a dime a dozen, and they do not come around very often. And so I met my wife. I told y'all when I was 12, we started dating when I was 16, and I realized very quickly that even though there are plenty of fish in the sea, and I had played catch and release with quite a few of them even before I turned 16, right? But there was something different about this one. And once I got my hook in her, I wasn't letting her go. My man Orenthio just wrote me a nice little paragraph here. Dante says there's plenty of shrimp too. Orenthio says that idea came from the English. The phrase to keep a stiff upper lip is now understood as referring to what is believed to be a quintessentially British trait, the repression of emotion. Repression of emotion is very harmful to your health, both emotionally and physically. If you ask any psychiatrist, they'll tell you you're not being strong by repressing your emotions. You're doing the opposite. Jesus cried before he resurrected Lazarus, and Jesus cried before he resurrected Lazarus, even though he knew he was going to raise him from the dead. He cried because he wanted to show support and love to Martha and Mary. A good point, brother. Good point. So, man, y'all got me going on here longer than I meant to. But this is a powerful topic, man. This is a powerful. These conversations are so necessary. And like I said, we got to do something else, man. Where we have something just for men. Y'all do me a favor, man. If you're not on Clubhouse, get on Clubhouse. And I think I'm gonna do a men's only room on there. Yarley says 500 rounds still sounds nice. Yeah, man. I think I might go to the range this weekend. As a matter of fact, I just might. But yeah, I'm gonna do something on Clubhouse. So come on Clubhouse and follow me on there. Same name, Vaughn says. And we're gonna do some men's only stuff on there. And then also, I think I'm gonna do something on Zoom too, where I can make sure that the only people in the space are men. And because we got to start, chopping it up, man. And because I'm telling you, man, I know that I've only talked to, in this lifetime, there's only so many men that I can meet on a one-on-one, and just the few men that I have had the opportunity to talk with, and the way that these brothers have talked with me, I know that there's a whole lot more where that came from. And so that's what we're gonna be doing in the future. Anyway, y'all, that's all I got for y'all tonight, man. Thank y'all for joining me. Could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with me, and for that, I'm eternally thankful. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.